I'm good. It's nice to see you.
You too? Yeah. What would be helpful today?
Okay. Probably many things. Two things I wanted to chat about. One is I haven't had great success in the last few months in terms of closing uh, consultations.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
had been doing pretty well,
Hmm.
but recently I've had I had four people book me for consultations. Excuse my cat. Very cute, but
So
kind of
cute.
distracting.
Hmm.
I had four people book me in like the last month for a consultation. Two of them didn't show up.
Hmm.
Um, one of them showed up and was sort of like um, unclear, like, and I never heard from them again. And then I literally just right before this, I had the fourth person email me back and say, effectively, I want to cancel because I saw your fees.
Hmm.
And I recently raised my fees. I went through Tiffany's program. I raised
Hmm.
my fees in January. And um, I've had some new clients at my new fees. I had an initial outreach of folks, but I just haven't gotten as many people in the door.
Hmm. Okay. Where were you fee wise before and where are you now?
Um, so I was at 200 uh, for individual sessions, and I went to 300. So it's a
Okay.
pretty significant change.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not a big enough change that your marketing would need to alter significantly. So that's why I asked that
Yeah.
question.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So, I was originally encouraged because I had folks reach out to me at the new price, and I thought, wow, this is exciting, but
Mhm.
it's not really exciting when not that many of them sign.
Right, right.
Um, and just to back it up as well, my ideal niche is working with women in finance,
Hmm.
and it's I would say a lot of it is anxiety. A significant portion of those are ADHDers, and I'm actually about to complete a training on ADHD, so I think that'll be
Hmm.
good. Um, but most of the people that have been reaching out to me have been doing so for financial therapy, and
Mm.
and that's fine. I like it, um, but it just seems like financial therapy is more nebulous,
Hmm.
and a lot of folks that want financial therapy, I mean, ironically, can't afford it. I
Hmm.
mean, I get it, but I think of it as something. I guess I had conceived of financial therapy as something that people who kind of had those jobs and had money and were struggling to sort of um, make as much with their money as they wanted to. But instead, I'm getting folks who are kind of like they're usually employed, but they can't see it within their scope to spend 300 per session.
Right, right. I think I've talked to so many financial therapists who have said the exact same thing of
Oh, really? Okay.
like I'm charging a good fee. No one can
Yeah.
afford me that is
Yeah.
attracted to me. So
Right.
I think if financial therapy is something you're really excited about, it's really honing that niche because financial therapy, like you said, is nebulous. That's not a niche.
Mm.
But financial therapy with the nouveau riche, like or with like the new rich
Yeah.
who are a part of an old money world, right? Where it's
Um,
like you're
oh,
talking about
interesting.
money,
Yeah.
or but it's not like or financial therapy who for people who have money but have a hard time spending on themselves, which is also going to make them have a hard time spending on you. So there's going to
Yeah.
have to be some sort of activating event that makes that
Yeah.
clear.
Mm.
Um, so getting really, really specific
Yeah.
with like on that page on your website about exactly who it
Okay.
is.
And so, I mean, I guess this gets back a little bit to um, what it is I want to be when I grow up,
Uh-huh.
because I mean, I do definitely. prefer to work with like my stressed out professional women that work
Hmm.
in finance. That's my jam. That's what I would like to do every day. Well, maybe not every day, but for the rest of my life, as long as my
Yeah.
brain still works. Financial therapy, some of the folks that reach out to me are not that, right?
Hmm.
I mean, all sorts of people. So I suppose I could definitely be more specific. Maybe I need
Hmm.
to just be more like drill down into what kind of like who I do financial therapy for.
Right. Would you do financial therapy for people in finance who feel like they should have it all together because they're over here telling other people how to have it together?
Hmm. It's an idea.
Like to
Um,
keep it niche,
Actually,
consistent.
yeah. And I guess that's actually the point I was trying to make is I feel like it looks like I mean, I hope it doesn't look like I'm desperate, but I feel a little bit as if like I'm just grasping at straws. I'm getting traction on financial therapy, not enough, but so I'm pursuing it, but
Hmm.
I still say I want to do this other thing. So I could see where it might be a little confusing.
And I think just listening to you, like, I
Mm,
just want to reflect back. I could work with these stressed out women in finance all day versus I'm
yeah.
getting some traction with financial therapy.
Oh,
Like, there
totally.
doesn't seem to be any passion there compared to
Yeah. Yeah.
your women in finance.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. And I mean, and I mean, honestly, I could list you the reasons why financial therapy is fine, but it's not financial therapy in and of itself that gives me like the satisfaction.
Right.
It's the person. And it's interesting because I do have some folks who work in finance who are doing financial therapy.
Hmm.
And they're great. Like that is my bag. That is my jam. It's less what we do and more who I do it with, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like if your whole website is like therapy for stressed out
Yeah.
women in finance
Yeah.
or exhausted women in finance, like however they would describe it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Like exhausted actually. Because that's often maybe even a better description.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And what's interesting, and again, this is getting back to the way I talk about financial therapy. I've had tons of guys reach out to me, which
Hmm.
is interesting and not what I was aiming for. And it's not as if I mean, it's working with men is not my jam,
Hmm.
you know, but I could see that's a function of me being too generic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I was feeling as if that's, I guess I was feeling as if I didn't really mind if guys wanted to reach out to me and work with me and they were my client type, that'd be fine.
Hmm.
Um, but I suppose I don't really have a compelling, like, I don't have a compelling argument for why they should work with me. Where I feel
Hmm.
like I do, if I say, like, I work with, even if it weren't women, although working with women is my preference. I mean, I worked for 25 years in finance, so I have like a really strong background.
Hmm.
I get their work, I get the issues. Um, I make a much better, I have a much better value proposition for someone who works in finance regardless.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But you love the women and not the men. So,
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I have to admit that like I could probably use my own therapy to deal with like what it is about uh, all the, I, I've had some wonderful male clients and some pain in the neck male clients that, obviously if I could if I could predict and work with the great ones, that would be fine with me.
hmm.
But yeah, I feel like it's hit or miss.
Yeah. And you just told me that you could work with women in finance all day, every day.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
you
Maybe
don't,
I'm just a little afraid of getting too narrow. You know what I mean?
hmm.
Yeah.
I get it. And that's exactly why people are choosing you,
Yeah.
right? Because we see the
Yeah.
financial therapy wibbliness. It's not specific enough
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
versus the therapy is. And the
Yeah.
more honed you get that, the more people come in, the more word of mouth is easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. and I mean, I guess I have been better at attracting, like on average, on attracting what I would say are more affluent
Hmm.
clients, which is great because I need them to be to afford me.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny how the financial therapy stuff is sort of like, I'm almost like, I'm getting folks who like, I don't even, sometimes it's like, I don't even know how they could read my page and still reach out yet. Those are the folks who are doing it.
Right. And is that population undercutting what you're trying to build with these more affluent
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I've worked through, um, my model in terms of clients. And my basic rule of thumb is if I add on average one new client a month, like that's a I don't need a million
Yeah.
people.
You've already
I
got a
just
bunch of
need,
people. You don't, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have some, but I want to keep going because some people will continue to fall off, and I'd
Yeah.
like to grow a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think I was doing okay closing before, but that's probably before I had so many people reaching out to me for financial therapy.
Hmm.
So
Right. So it
maybe,
skewed the
yeah,
percentage.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And I mean, I guess I was originally thinking that I would ask you for feedback on my closing, and I still could, but it's almost more about
Yeah.
maybe my closing is fine when I actually get the right person in front of me.
Yeah. You've been using it for years and it's been working.
Yeah.
So like I don't
I
think
was
it's
actually, yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
Yeah, I mean I don't think it's how you're talking to them. Like I don't think it's a
Yeah,
consultation.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I felt like I was pretty good. I mean, it's fine with me if folks reach out and even if I don't begrudge someone if they reach out to me and um, it doesn't make sense to work with me. I mean, because they can't afford me, or even despite me trying really hard to explain that I don't take insurance, some
Mhm.
folks still do. I mean, do you think that's just unavoidable?
Yeah, people don't read. So I think the only way to like the only way to make it really clear, like we put it on our website, built a contact form that made them check a box that said, I understand that this practice does not accept insurance and sessions or however much they were at the time.
Yeah,
And that is like, I think the only thing, and what we need to do, because we no longer have a contact form, what we need to do is set up so that when people go to schedule a free 15-minute consultation, the same kind of thing pops up.
yeah,
And even then, Rachel, like people would come into the consultation having clicked that and be like, "Oh, you don't take Blue Cross Blue Shield?" So like people don't
yeah,
read. There's
yeah,
always going to be some that slip through. And
yeah.
that's all right. Hopefully we can give them really great referrals.
And I do, and that's fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm happy to help them if I can. And I do feel like I'm well positioned to find them referrals, even if they're, because working in the business, we should be better at finding folks.
100%.
Yeah, but it's so you don't think that it's not like there's any great way. I mean, there's no great way to get people to read, is what you're saying.
No. I mean,
Hmm.
like you could try to format it, make it a hot pink, doesn't matter. I mean, like there
Yeah,
are ways that it gets lost for sure, but the
yeah,
people who are not going to read are not going to read.
yeah.
What you
I
do.
mean, so I use therapy notes, and
Hmm.
I do have um, my free consultation button on my website links to that, and I have had people book me that way.
Hmm.
And I do put it in. I do have a little description, but they just don't read it, I guess.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Um, well, so maybe I can talk more about like stick with my niche for working with women in finance
Hmm.
and just talk
Exhausted
about
women in finance, because it's not just demographic, right? It's that it's the way they're
yeah,
feeling.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, more so when I first started talking about my niche, I talked about um stressed out professional women, and I talked about their struggle with their partners.
Mhm.
They have these really highly responsible jobs, and they come home and their husband thinks they can't, that they're not the kind of people that need a cleaner. So the husband sitting and
Mhm.
watching game on TV, and the wife is there scrubbing the floor.
Mhm.
Um, and and that's probably okay, but I guess I came to feel like that wasn't like urgent enough, because these women have been frustrated and annoyed. I mean, it's been like this for a long time, and it's
Yeah.
hard to put your finger on what it would take for them to suddenly like reach
Right.
out and say like I really need help with this.
Right. Yeah. Like, what's the breaking point for them? That's because
Yeah.
they're very competent women, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can shoulder a lot. They have a high frustration tolerance.
Yeah.
So I think it's looking at why now? Is it like now their mom is maybe sick and they're not sure, and that's just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back? Is
Mm.
it, um, is it that they dropped balls? And like that is not them. They don't drop balls, but they dropped
Mm.
balls because they were doing too much. They were juggling it all.
Mm.
Getting really clear on like thinking through your clients that have come through that are really like juicy, you love them, you would love 10 more of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the I got to get help thing for them?
Um, I mean, I have an appointment with someone at 3 who is, I would clone her. She's like wildly successful and talented. Um, she's a floor scrubber. I mean that I
Mhm.
mean, euphemistically. Um, had a really hard time talking to her partner. I'm trying to think what caused her to reach out. Kind of having public meltdowns.
Okay. Like a panic attack or like
Yeah.
something came out really sharp and they felt like they had to, put their face back on, like,
Yeah, like just the pressure got to them so much they embarrassed themselves in public. Like they
yeah,
lost their cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I
And
mean the thing, sorry, go ahead.
well, I'm just thinking like you could describe that as like, you feel like you're boiling over sometimes. Like you might snap at the person who just charged you the wrong amount,
Yeah.
at the restaurant, which
Yeah.
is not like you, or um, the person that cut in line at the bank, you lost it on, and
Yeah.
or you desperately wanted to. So you can also talk about that need of like the veil was so thin between losing your mind on somebody and not, and like you wished you were the kind of person who would just claw somebody's eyes out, and like that's not you either, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like you're barely holding. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
some of that's probably towards their husband. If they're watching their husband, sitting there watching a game while they're scrubbing the floor, like
yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't, you could even say, like, you don't hate your husband. It's not that you hate your husband, but sometimes you absolutely cannot stand how he just assumes you'll do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And then you
interesting because
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do think that a lot of them want to try to make things work with their partner. Some of them don't, but most of them do. Most of
Hmm.
them like their partners seem decent,
Hmm.
but they're just clueless.
Yeah. And I think that's fine to name too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have I shown you I'm going to put in the chat for you to open later, my website, because your people are my people. Like
Oh.
I work instead of finance, it's attorneys.
Oh, right.
Um,
Okay.
so here's mine that you can open and look at when we're done.
Okay.
But I'm describing a lot of what we're talking about here. That same exact
Okay.
dynamic of these super capable women who end up being capable every fucking where.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna paste that so that
Yeah.
I have it because I need it. Um, okay. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
helpful. Um, and yeah, okay. I mean, that actually, I bet that would be really, that would be really useful to look at because it's effectively sort of the same jam. Do you
Yeah, it's
work
the
with women
same.
only?
Yes, and that one, yes. My
Yeah.
therapy for business owners, it's a mix, but
Okay.
I'm transitioning a little bit over to the attorneys because they were my favorite business owners.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
law
Right.
firm.
People. It's
Yeah,
a hard
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to ask you? It's about the, so is it that you, I mean, I'll look at your website, but do you market to women specifically, or is it just that you get women because,
So I couldn't figure out a smooth way to say women attorneys without it sounding like it's a woman congressman or a like
yeah,
woman
yeah,
president, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Like I think so I say women in law some, but what I do, I think I call it like therapy for exhausted attorneys, but then everything I describe is very mom
Okay.
coded. Like it's
Gotcha.
like what moms are dealing with,
Yeah.
in
Okay.
a very heteronormative
Yeah.
relationship, basically.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's interesting because I mean, obviously I'm fine with whatever relationship, whether they have kids or not, but
Mhm.
most of them are straight and have kids.
Mhm.
Um, and you're right. And the added pressure is the parents. Yeah.
Right.
Um, so I'm just assuming now that you have completely separate websites. Do you have, is that
Yes.
right?
I have
Okay.
too many websites, and that's kind of a longer story. I'll tell you another day because I don't want to take up your time with it. But yeah,
Okay.
that's also me playing and like testing and things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, not
I mean,
recommended for most people.
okay, good. Well, the reason I mean, I think the reason I asked you that is because I had originally been wondering if I should do my financial therapy on a separate website because it is different. But now, after talking to you, I'm feeling like less needing to consider that
Yeah, and
because
almost
if I
like
can bring everything close together.
yeah. Yeah. And then in the context of your ideal client, I mean, do you need to be doing financial therapy at all?
Um, I mean, truthfully, the reason I started doing it is because people were reaching out to me for it, even though I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't selling it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They like, I think people could see either from looking at my LinkedIn or from digging into the pages on my website that I worked in finance, and they wanted
Right.
that, which is
Mm-hmm.
like pretty creative on their side.
Yeah.
And I think I was just responding to demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But and again, like that, it's fine. But I guess one of the things about financial therapy seems to somehow be something that's more like it's almost like gateway therapy in the sense that people who've never done therapy,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not going to do therapy, but financial therapy I'll do kind of.
Right.
But those people are not necessarily. I guess they're not all my people. They're not, and they also tend to want to. They tend to want to reach out for like a problem, like
Mm-hmm.
one problem. They don't necessarily want ongoing therapy. And I guess my preference is not always to have the majority of my clients be sort of ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
year or so or more, whatever. I feel like I don't want to be like a solutions based, one of those short term therapists.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly too much work and not very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think about like there is no such thing as just one problem. They're always tangled together, right? So it's
Yeah.
like if they're convinced it's one problem and they're not wanting to look
Yeah.
at what it's tangled with, then that doesn't sound like your jam.
Yeah.
Um, so I would
Yeah.
think like if we're really clear on who your ideal client is, what would she use financial therapy for? And if she would
Yeah.
use financial therapy, then that's what you write it about. And if she wouldn't, you can mention that you're a financial therapist, but I don't think you need to go on about it. Like I don't think it needs its own
Yeah.
page, especially if it's going to bring in the
Um,
wrong people.
yeah, that's interesting. I will say that my ideal client often is so consumed with appearances
Hmm.
that they um they need to get a better handle on how they spend money. I mean, they
Mhm.
make a lot of money, but they're not saving as someone who like as much as they could afford, given
Yeah.
what they want to do with their considering the goals they have. They want to pay for
Yeah.
their kids' college, but they're busy getting a nice car, even though the car they had before was pretty nice too. And
Yeah.
and that's fine, except that they're not working towards their goals. So I do think
Yeah.
there are some folks that I think, I mean, a lot of it it's, I see comparison again and again. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And
theirs.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful specificity. You make
Yeah.
plenty of money, and
Yeah.
yet at the end of every month, you're kind of baffled by where it all went.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone around you is taking fabulous vacations. So you work
Yeah.
hard, you feel like you deserve that too.
Yeah.
You know, like just
Yeah.
all of that.
It's funny that you say that. I feel like whenever I hear someone say the word deserve, I go,
Uh-huh.
because like it's like I wish that that was how the world worked.
Oh, I know,
However,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah. And I do think that, yeah, like in this business, folks, if you don't have a second home,
Right.
you're kind of a slouch.
hmm
So,
Yeah, and naming that,
it's,
like naming
yeah,
exactly that.
yeah,
And you can even say like you barely even use your second home.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, it's true.
like
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's funny. Yeah. A lot of folks, they have a place in New Hampshire for weekends, but they don't get the time to use it or whatever.
hmm
Yeah.
right.
Mm, okay. Huh. Well, this isn't how I thought I would use today's time, but it's been,
Thanks for going on the ride with me.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I want this to be something that I do until I drop. Like, I really love being a therapist.
hmm
I just want to make a little bit more money, and I don't want to do it at the expense of like having to work with clients that I like dread. You
Yeah,
know?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, just trying to think. Um, in terms of my copy, I mean, I'm obviously not going to like steal your copy, but I'll look at your copy and see what translates if that's what you're saying is okay.
Yeah, like see what your interpretation of that is for your people. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
our people probably have a lot of the same pain points. And
Yeah.
so if my pain points jog, like, oh yeah, my person says that about this thing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Um, and I don't know if I feel like this is a newer area for you, like a newer specialty for you.
yeah, I mean, I've been working with women who own law firms randomly for like a
Yeah.
decade. I mean, not
Okay. Okay.
exclusively. I've
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
business owners, but when I really drilled down into which business owners did I love most, it was these
Yes.
women who owned law firms. And I was like, well, they
Okay.
don't have to own the law firm, but for me to
Yeah.
love them, they just had more control then. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and it's the same thing over and over and over and over, but it's the same thing for your women in
Gotcha.
finance too,
Okay.
really.
And I know you've said in the past, and I guess I'm just questioning it. You, you had said it in maybe in your trainings that if even when you're super specific, you still get
Oh yeah.
X percent. Like, I mean, do you have a number, like a rough estimate of how many people outside your niche reach out and are willing to pay you? You know?
I mean, so like, most of my time I was marketing eating disorders for so long, and I would get
Yeah.
so many people with anxiety but no eating disorder, like
Yeah.
because they go hand in hand, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody with an eating
Sure.
disorder has anxiety basically. And then there are
Yeah.
people who are like, "Oh, I think some of those same thoughts that you're talking about in your copy."
Yeah.
So you'll probably get
Yeah.
attorneys, you'll get doctors. I mean, like you've been working with
Yeah.
professional women for a long time, so you'll still get them even if
Yeah.
you speak specifically to finance.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I'll just ask what I think is a quick question. Um, I'm doing the ADHD training because I want a certification because I found that about three-quarters of my anxiety clients also have ADHD, which
Mhm. Yep.
probably is not a big surprise. Do you think I should add that to my copy?
Only if they already know they have ADHD. Otherwise, name the symptoms, name what they notice.
Symptoms. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
see you
Appreciate
later.
your help. Okay. Thank you. Bye
Mhm.
bye.
Bye.